Hello, quilting crafty friends. I am so excited to have you here. I am doing something very different, something I've seen others do, and I was curious about, and I secretly wanted to try. And now that I have the opportunity, I'm very intimidated, I have to say. So, Pam from BeeCreative Crafts, she is hosting a Christmas collab challenge. And that is very exciting. I was invited to join, and I'm really glad that I did. So, here is the gist of it. We have 5 creators, 4 others, and myself, and we were each given the task to come up with something to get as a challenge item to make something Christmassy or wintry, that sort of thing. Now, we can create one item with all 5 elements, or 5 different items, or anything in between. But we do have to find a way to use each and every item. So that's kind of intimidating. You know, it's so much easier when you're watching on the TV and somebody else is doing it. You're like, oh, just make this and just do that. Well, when you're in the hot seat, it's not quite that simple. So let me tell you who is in this collaboration. We have Pam with BeeCreative Crafts, Nancy with Little Treasures by Nancy, Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, Connie with Just Another Stitch, and me, Kimberly, the Pajama Quilter. So let's talk about what actually we have to work with here. I'll just move my little snack aside because I might need that later, you know, just for a little bit of holiday inspiration. So the first one was Pam suggested that we have a wooden plaque. Okay, I chose a tree. Pretty simple. Nancy suggested tumbling tower blocks. Okay. Cynthia suggested window clings. So I've got a couple of different ones there. Let's see. And Connie suggested styrofoam. And my suggestion is cupcake liners. So do you guys have a bunch of ideas of what I can do with all this? I'm actually thinking of trying to have one item that includes all of the things. Now, what I have come up with in my head, I have never seen done before. Doesn't mean it hasn't, I've just never seen it. And I have zero idea if this is going to be brilliant or a complete failure, if it'll even work, or if it does work, if it's going to look okay. I don't know. I do have a couple of backup plans, so we're just gonna have to play and have some fun and see how it comes out. So I will be right back for us to get started on, well, it's going to be a surprise. See you in a minute. Just a base coat for the tree. That was all that's needed right now because we're going to cover most of it up. The next part is take a pine cone, and it's okay if it's falling apart because you're getting ready to break it apart anyway. Right there. We're going to glue that on the base. Well, the tree trunk is drying. The next thing is definitely bizarre. Don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to take this styrofoam and I'm going to grate it. Let's see what happens. Look, it's like magic. Okay, so my hope, and by the way, this is kind of fun to do. My hope is to attach it to the tree to give it a little bit of dimension. I don't know if it's going to work, and I'm going to try to use tacky glue. We'll see what happens, but to do that, I don't want a big mess because, I mean, it is styrofoam. So I'm going to get a little flat box to put the tree in. I'm going to add the glue, and then I'm going to shake this all over it. Let's see what happens. And now we have a plethora of glue. Maybe too much, maybe not enough. We'll see. And I'm not sure what I'm doing here. We're going to play a little bit. We're just going to see what happens. This may be great. It may be a nightmare. We're going to see. And I'm going to let this dry because, hey, there's a ton of glue. I'm going to let this dry overnight. And we're going to see how it comes out. Squish some of it down. I want to try to make sure everything is covered. This is actually kind of fun. This might be a great project to do with kids. Who knows? Maybe we'll both learn something today. Okay, I think it is all covered, but just for good measure, might as well just empty the container out. Okay, and then we will be back, well, tomorrow for me, a couple seconds for you, and we will see what we've done. Okay, I think we're ready. I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see what I've done. I think I glued it to the box in a couple places. That's all right. That is something that can be fixed. Okay, let's shake it off. All right, we definitely have some 3D texture. Let's get rid of some of the extra. Guys, I think it's kind of fun. Now, definitely want to make sure get rid of all of the extra because it is kind of sticking together. And then what I need to do is take, guys, can you see it? Then I need to take some glue and water and spray it to get everything to hold. So let's go ahead and get this stuff out of the way. And you can see little bits of the dark peeking through, which is exactly what I was hoping for, so that it gives it a little bit more dimension. All right, I'm going to make the glue mixture, spritz it down, and again, more drying time. We'll be back. Now that the tree is ready, we need a support so that it stands up. So let's get working on that, shall we? Okay, my little support is here and it is drying. Let's hope that it works nicely. Kind of reminds me of an old-fashioned tree stand with the four little, you know what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know that this is going to be enough. I have some more, so that's good. But now I need to make a floor. So that's going to take a little while. I'm going to start gluing, and I will check in with you when this is all together. Be back in a bit. Alrighty, I have got 60 tumbling tower blocks right here for the floor. Now, if the floor was going to be seen, I probably would have cut some and had them offset so that it looked extra special. That is not the case because I'm going to cover this up with this really pretty ribbon and make a pretty little plaid floor. So I'm going to make sure that as I'm doing it that I try to line up these green pieces right here so that it looks like one piece of fabric. That's my goal. We'll see how well I do. But this is going to be another situation where it's going to get really boring and there's going to be a lot of gluing. So why don't we work on some more of that TV magic, and I will be back in a second. And here we are. It's all dried and I have trimmed it, and we have a nice little floor, a very festive floor. Now, the next thing I need to do is make a few presents with this. So I'm going to move this out of the way and we can get started. Okay, I have painted a bunch of the little tumbling tower block pieces. I glued some together. They're different sizes, and I have picked out a window cling for each one to help make the presents a little bit more decorative. Now, I'm going to use some Mod Podge to help to adhere the window clings on, and then I'm going to trim them. So I haven't done this before. I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to work, but I thought that we could figure it out together. Now, I painted them in a similar color to the window cling just because I know that they tend to be a little on the, what do you call it? Transparent. Sorry guys, I haven't had a lot of sleep, so words are not coming very well. So we're going to try to do this together. Go ahead and add a little Mod Podge on there. I've got paint on my hands still from painting these little boogers. I have to say, I made quite the mess. Oh my goodness. I had every single color all over my hands. It was terrible. Okay. Let's put this little guy on here. I know, it's a little sad that I'm going to have to cut off his body. Now, should we have a little bit more of his body and less of his hat? I think so. Get him right where I want him. Get him nice and smooth. I think that'll do. And then after I get all of these with the clings on them, I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge them all over. I think this is going to be really cute, guys. Okay, let's trim this up a little bit. Okay. I might have to trim that one a little bit closer. Now on some of these, I'm not going to just trim them from the top. Like these, I'm going to try to wrap them around on the sides. We'll see how that goes. I'm making a mess again. And if you hear any noise, one of our fur babies got a dental chew and she's being rather noisy with it, but she's having a good time, so I think we can all excuse the noise just a little bit. Okay, trim this a little bit more. Okay, I think that's a really cute present. It looks like those little boxes that you get. I think that's going to be great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do all of these, and I will be back in a moment. Voila! Look at all of our little presents. Aren't they cute? I'm excited. So, just from the window clings. Some of them have them just on top. Some of them are wrapped on all the sides. So, I think this is fun. I really like it. We've got the little reindeer. So cute. Okay. Now I have incorporated 4 out of the 5 items. The wooden plaque, the styrofoam, the tumbling tower blocks, and the window clings. The only thing that is left is my contribution, which is the cupcake liners. So we will be back so that we can tackle that. Now it is time for these. I played around with a couple of ideas. I think I kind of know what I want to do. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out, but I think I'm going to start by using more than one layer at a time because these are quite flimsy and noisy. But I think I'm going to do 2 layers at a time. And the first thing I want to work on is trying to make an angel for the top of the tree. So we will see exactly how well that goes. Now, I want it to be, well, I think I want to go ahead and cut this at about 1 inch. So let's get started there. And I don't need to worry about all of this extra stuff. So let's see, about how big is that? About there. Okay. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm not actually going to be using all that much of it. And the parts that I do use, I'm probably going to be trimming down. So that's fine. Okay. I hope that noise wasn't too bothersome. All right. And you see how the integrity of it is not great. So that's why I'm using a couple of layers instead of just one. So my idea is to do this just like that. To get it nice and tight right there. See how tight I can get it without squishing it. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. And then add a little bit of hot glue and pray that I don't burn myself in the process. Let's see. I think it worked. Okay, now I'm going to just trim this up. And I want to go ahead and glue this a little bit more because we don't need it flying about. I need a better glue gun, guys. This is not a great one. Ah! We've got flying angel bodies right now. Okay. I think we have a dress for the angel. Now the question is, can we get the head on the angel okay? And I know that hot glue is not the absolute best for smooth surfaces like this bead, but I'm afraid that if I use something else, it won't stay there as long, and the surface isn't big enough to really use two different types of glue. So we'll see how it goes. Boy, this glue is an all or nothing. I need a fine tip one. If you have a fine tip one that you really love and want to recommend, please do so. Okay. Okay, I think the angel has a little head. Not terrible. Well, not necessarily great, but not entirely terrible. Okay, now she's trying to fly. Now we're going to need some wings for her. And I think I did try to do it before, and I came up with this just as a general type of thing. And it's about the right size. I'm not totally happy with the shape, but it's enough to use a template of. So we're going to put this right here around this for guidance. Well, I think I'll put it on top instead so that I can see it better. We're going to use some kind of similar shape. And if it doesn't come out great, then we can just try again. And again. And again, because we've got plenty of cupcake liners. I think I want the wings to be a little bit more rounded. A little bit less of a high V shape. We'll see how I do. It's not a bad shape. Okay, now the question is, do I want to keep these two layers together, or do I want to offset them for a little bit more of a winged look? I think the tiniest bit of an offset would be nice. Or do I? No, I want to go simple. Okay, so we need to put this right about there. Add a little bit more glue. And before I try to do any embellishing on her, I'm going to make sure that I test her out on the tree to see what I think. I'm going to have to glue the other wing on as well. Okay. What do you think, guys? Looks like a little angel. This one's already still partially glued on, so that'll make that easy. Just a smidge of glue. Well, again, not a smidge. Okay. Did Did you know that glue through paper is rather hot? Well, the hot glue anyway. I know, guys, it's in the name. Even still. Okay. We have an angel. Now let's see if it fits the tree okay. If not, I might have to make it a little bit bigger. Oh, I think she does fit the tree. Look at that. Very nice. Okay, but she needs a little something something. She needs to be livened up just a tad. This next part is going to get very, well, if I can keep her in my hands, it's going to get probably pretty annoying, because I'm going to take, and I'm actually going to utilize this a little bit. I'm going to take the tiniest bit of glue and use the toothpick to try to make a halo, and then to maybe embellish bits of her dress, not dresses. And it's going to be really hard for you to see, and it's going to be hard for me to see because I'm going to have it right up here at my face. So, but you know what I'm going to do? Glue, toothpick, glitter. I will be back when that's all done. And here we have her. Let's see if I can get her a little closer. Can't tell if she's clear or not. There she goes. Okay, I think she's all done. And I think she turned out rather cute, especially, coming from a cupcake liner. Okay, the angel's done. I've cleaned up a bit. Now it's time for the next thing. Now what I would like to do is to make a tree skirt. Okay, well, technically the size will work. That'll do, but it's not very appealing. I think we're going to try to add some pipe cleaner around the edge. That's pretty malleable and festive, so I think that's what we're going to go with. This is a little worse for the wear, but I think it's going to be just fine. And it fits right where it needs to be, and we can kind of mold it a little bit with the pipe cleaner, especially after we get it glued down. So let's just kind of get an idea for what it is that we're doing. Just kind of. Because shortly we are going to have to put it all together. That will have to happen. Okay, let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, guys, I think that's going to work. It's not the most luxurious tree skirt in the world, but I definitely think it works. It brings in the gold that's in the angel and in the ribbon, though I don't know if you can see it. And it brings in the white. So I think that this is actually going to work very well. And then, of course, once we add the presents and stuff, you might not see that much of it anyway. So there we go. I have used all 5 items. Now, we do need to put everything together, but we have to do one more thing before that can happen. And that means I need to embellish this tree. Otherwise, it would just be sad. So I'm going to clean up, and then we can do that. It's all done, and it has been an amazing challenge, and I hope that it inspired you to think outside the box and look at objects in a completely new way. That is all that I have for now. And until next time, I want to wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I hope you're cozy in your jammies.